Hey guys, happy Wednesday. If this is your first time here, I'm Shaina. It is so nice to meet you. Today, I want to talk about feeling offended. But first, disclaimer. But before we begin, disclaimer. This video is not intended to be offensive. I want to preface by saying that I am solely sharing my personal experiences and what I know to be true. If you've ever wondered what it's like to have an online business in today's social media climate, that's what it's like. It's like building a defense case in the anticipation and expectation of somebody being offended. Always. It's so much fun. I've gotten used to it to an extent, but the more that I evolve into my craft and who I am and what I do and what I believe with more strength and more certainty, the more people I piss off and offend. That's just part of the package. So there's the online environment, yes, but then there's interpersonal relationships, right? People in your life, family, friends who you see and interact with on more of a personal level who may get offended easily. You're like, I went apple picking today and it was so much fun. And they're like, whoa, what? Why is it got to be apples? Because they're apples. And they're like, well, what about blueberries, huh? I'm actually offended that you would go apple picking over blueberry picking, but I like apples. Like, why can't that just be okay? All right, so let's talk about it. First, I'll give you my personal take on it, and then I'll give you my professional take on it. How does that sound? Good? Good. If I'm around someone who gets easily offended by people, places, or things, it's a bummer to me, you guys. I think that's the best way to describe how I think and feel about it. To have to tiptoe around someone in an attempt to avoid an emotional outburst and to be in a situation where I basically can't be myself, it's a bummer. Now, of course, the way that I think and feel about someone who I interpret as easily offended is on me. But I like to think of it, and maybe even them, as a bummer. I don't want to think about highly offended people as a good thing. I want to think of it as an annoyance so that I can then create boundaries and surround myself with people who are emotionally more mature, and so that I can attract the people that I am meant to serve in my business. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to explain myself to people who are bothered or easily bothered. I just want to be authentically me without having to compromise that to tend to someone else's emotions. Guys, most of us are terrible at managing our own emotions. Nobody wants the job of managing someone else's. Trust me. Here's the thing. We have the right to think and believe whatever it is that we want to think and believe, good or bad, positive or negative. We have the right to believe whatever it is we want to believe about ourselves, about other people, about the world, and everything in between. We also have the right to express our beliefs. That is our right. We have the freedom to do that. We are adults. We don't, however, have the right to tell someone else or expect somebody else to change what they think or believe, or demand that they change their behavior so that we can feel better. That mentality, that lack of ownership and instead projection, is more rampant now than ever before. We hear people say all the time, well, I'm offended by that. I'm hurt by that. I'm upset by that. All right, why are you looking over here? But that's what a lot of us do because we were never taught the tools growing up on how to manage our own emotional well-being. As children, we're taught that we hurt Tommy's feelings on the playground when we said that, or mommy felt upset when we did that. We are literally taught that we're responsible for other people's emotional states, and in turn, other people are responsible for ours. It's bananas if you actually think about it. Most of us on this planet don't even understand conceptually that our thoughts are not facts. A lot of us will look at something and think that the thing, the person, the opinion is what is offensive. But that's not what's happening. For example, let's say that I'm in a room with 3 other people and I say, I hate jazz music. I think it's the worst music genre in history. There's nothing appealing about it at all. person A feels great about my statement. They're like, oh my God, yeah, I know, right? I don't like it either. That movie, La La Land, sucked. Person B feels indifferent. They're like, I don't know. I don't really know a lot about it. I've never really listened to it. Neither here nor there. And then person C feels offended. They're like, I take offense to that. My dad was in a jazz band. I grew up around jazz. That's hurtful. Okay. If what I said, the words that came out of my mouth about jazz, were actually and factually offensive and hurtful, then every single person in that room would agree. But that's not the case. Why not? Because it's not what I said that caused person C to feel offended. What caused that person to feel offended was his or her own thoughts about what I said that caused him or her to feel offended. Just because we say something is offensive, you guys, doesn't make it so. Something is only offensive if we think it's offensive. Our thoughts are not facts. This distinction alone will dramatically improve your quality of life and your relationships with other people. Personally, I choose not to be offended by much at all. I've joked around with Nathan before and I've said I could actually have a drink with Trump, the KKK, and Hitler all at the same time. Because A, I understand how our human brains work. Everybody's just out in the world operating from their own belief systems that they picked up somewhere along the way. I can easily separate whole spiritual self from wacky, misguided ego thoughts. B, I know where my power is and it's not in their business, it's in my own business. And C, I'm not going to catch something if I sit down with people who have different beliefs than me. If somebody says to me, Shaina, you'll never be as successful as a man in this industry, I'll be like, all right. I'm not going to be like, I am a woman. That is offensive to me. No, somewhere along this person's upbringing, they were taught and now choose to believe that men are more powerful than women. Okay, so what? You can totally believe that if that's what you choose. They're not hurting my feelings, you guys. I know my power. I'm just going to be over here building an empire. Like that inspired action is where my power is, not trying to change their mind about me or women. And if what that person said to me is triggering, I need to clean up my own doubts about me as a woman and my power, not try to clean up their mind. It's okay for other people to be wrong about you guys. It's okay to let other people be wrong. It's okay for you to be wrong sometimes because there's no growth to be found otherwise. If we all think I'm right, you're wrong, shut up, zero growth. Zero growth in that. When I see people arguing back and forth on Facebook especially, I'm like, oh man. What a waste of breath. Get out. I want to scream, get out of there. It's like imagine a room with loud music. If you don't like the loud music, don't go over there. It's really as simple as that. But instead, so many people just walk right into the room, bitching about how loud the music is, screaming for someone else to turn it off when they have the power all along. Let's just take a moment of silence right now to imagine a planet where all human beings spend half the amount of energy changing themselves that they did trying to change other people. It's a much prettier picture. Now, that is not to say that you have to agree with someone else or condone their behavior, but just notice when you are a part of the problem. I think a lot of people think that, well, if I'm not offended, if I don't go into the room with the loud music, then I'll just be a doormat. Like, Shaina, how could you just let that person say that and not stand up for yourself and women? I can't do that. I can't let other people think they're right when I think I'm right. But why not? Why not? Answer that question. Your inability to just let people be who they are is your problem, not theirs. We cannot control other people, you guys. I say this with love. We cannot control other people. You have the right to express your opinion. Yes, you have the right to do that. But when you're doing it because you feel threatened and scared, you're doing it wrong. If you're doing it with the attachment to other people changing or saying, I'm sorry, or whatever you've written in your manual about how other people should or shouldn't behave, you're doing it wrong. When you say, I'm offended, and look at someone else to respond and do something about it, you're doing it wrong. That's disempowering and it is unproductive. Trust me on this. Instead, you want to rein it back in and take responsibility for your own thoughts and feelings. That is the first step to emotional maturity. Why are you offended? What's triggering you? Find the thoughts. Is it serving me to think this way or not? Do I want to feel this way? Work that shit out on your own first. Don't throw it up onto somebody else. What can you choose to think that feels better? Again, for me, I'm just like, yeah, we're adults. We can think and behave however the F we want. It means nothing about me what somebody else says and everything about them. They don't have to change one bit for me to feel good. I don't need someone else to give up any of their power for me to feel powerful. Zero. And then from that good feeling place, go take some inspired action, whatever that may look like. Me building a successful business is way more inspirational to women around the world than me arguing about women's rights for an hour with some jackass, right? Like, if people are offended by my content or my profession, okay, my power is helping my clients change their lives, not in justifying what I do to someone who thinks life coaches are full of shit. Guys, when you release all attachment to how you think other people should think and behave, you find your power. Contrast is the truth of our existence. And I notice all the time the people who are unwilling to accept that truth, that contrast in the world, suffer so much. When you practice fully accepting yourself, you'll naturally begin to fully accept others. When you're solid first emotionally, you begin to respond to others from a place of compassion and curiosity, not judgment, even if you disagree. Your ability to be in a room with people who think differently than you will be determined by how much you practice and develop your own emotional maturity. If I were getting drunk with Trump, the KKK, and Hitler, we're back on this, Shaina? Yeah, we are. I'd be like a curious cat. Tell me everything. I want to know why you think the way you do. What the fuck happened when you were growing up? Tell me about those experiences. That space of curiosity and neutrality is what has the power to evoke change in other people. Absolutely, 100%. Not being yelled at. So that's what I have to say about that. Feeling offended is a choice, you guys, and I have yet to find a good reason to do so. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave your comments down below, and just thanks for being here, you guys. Videos are so much fun every Wednesday. Love you, and I'll see you next week.